been through so many years, you helped me find my way. If I had a second chance, I'd tell you that I love you every day.
My name's Bryan Reid. I'm the rhythm guitarist and vocalist of Arizona heavy metal band Shadow Guilt. The first time music really intrigued me, there was two instances that had like a big development on that. The first one being we were living in Texas and my mom's friend at our church, we went to her house and she was playing Elvis on the stereo system or whatever it was. I can't remember, but I remember like just sitting there like, this is awesome, you know, I like this, it's fucking cool. And then the big game changer, I was in my dad's truck with my sister and my brother, and he had a Blizzard of Oz playing. From that first pick slide down on I Don't Know, I was like, holy shit, who is this dude? And so I started obsessing over Randy Rhoads and Ozzy. And then around middle school, I kind of like, I don't know if I was growing out of it or what, but I just was losing interest slowly. And then I was talking to my dad, and he was like, about it, you know, how I was like kind of losing interest or whatever. And then I remember my dad being like, well, you might like this band, check it out. And he popped in the Black Album. And that's where my obsession with Metallica began. That really put me back into the place of wanting to keep playing and keep practicing. I started buying, you know, Ride the Lightning, Justice, Kill 'Em All, everything from that early era. As I kept exploring them more, it was kind of weird, like Metallica kind of like, as I grew in Metallica, I grew in my wanting to play. I just kept playing and buying records, playing, buying records, playing, buying records. And I think that that band was really what got me into playing, if it wasn't already obvious. So Shadow Guilt, I was a junior in high school. I was doing things like breaking the law, literally, like getting in trouble. I was breaking the law. I was showing the man. And I had just left a band. We were called This in Mind, and we were like wanting to go different ways. So I left the band. I started getting in a lot of trouble. I remember I got caught me and my friend stealing his aunt's car and getting pulled over, and they didn't want to press charges. And so I remember getting the misdemeanor it was a criminal charge for being out past curfew. Like that's what I got away with for all the dumb shit that I've done. And so I was in trouble. Wasn't really wanting to do music anymore because I was with that band. You know Zach, right? Evans? Yeah, I've known him since 7th grade, and that was our first project together. Like, so that guy's a homie. So Danny, back to, you know, I was doing stupid shit and I just left my band. Danny, our drummer, he was in another band. I can't remember what they were called. The people in the band at the time, I think it was Kashif and Jacob. They, you know, wanted another guitarist, and I remember the Kashif calling me and being like, dude, you're one of the best guitarists in the area. Please join our band. I'm like, no. And then I got bored, and I'm like, sure, what are we doing? So we did a cover of NJ Legion Ice-T by I Did Remember. We started to become more like I Did Remember, and I stopped liking that. I'm like, this is boring. I want to do some cool stuff. Just my opinion, you know. And so Danny and I did not like the direction we're going, and our singer did. So we actually asked him to leave the band. And then Shadow Guilt was formed. Me and Danny and Kashif and an old friend of mine, AJ, who came in on bass, they were still with the Day to Remember cover band, pretty much. So from then, we formed Shadow Guilt, and we played a show or whatever, and then Kashif wanted to leave, and then AJ wanted to leave. So it's always been Danny and I. So we really wanted to find, because at the time, I thought I was the only one in the area who could do lead guitar. And for some reason, because my ego was big, I was in high school. So we had our bassist, Paul, come in and he tried out for rhythm guitar. And sorry, Paul, but you were terrible. So we were like, well, can you play bass? And that's how he joined. He tried out for the rhythm guitar. We didn't like him at the time, and so we put him on bass. Now he's a lot better, you know. I love you, Paul. Don't leave me. And then we had, from then, we were just a trio for a while. And then in game, this guy named Michael, we had him on lead guitar because that's when I was taking on James Hetfield. And wanted to play rhythm, so we had that guy do lead. We played a few shows with him. It wasn't really working out. We were a week out from a show when he quit over text out of the blue. And then I met this nice, young, handsome person named Clayton Holman. Within a week, he learned all the songs on his own and wrote a solo for a song that didn't have one. So I was like, holy shit, this guy's great. And that was 2016. That's when the current version of Shadago was born. First time playing the marquee was awesome. It was like surreal because I had just seen Anthrax and Killswitch play. And I remember watching them and being like, fuck, like that would be such a cool stage to play on. And then they did the local showcase, and Donnie is great, and he was like, hey, you want to do it? And we're like, sure. And that was probably the first big highlight. Was really fucking cool. Another big one I would say is probably when Shadow Guilt we had played a show with Clay the week after he joined, and then we played another show a month later that was a Battle of the Bands type thing, and we packed the fucking underground. The fucking security was pissed because they were like, we're over capacity, and we won that. That was really cool. Like, that's seeing like so many people in a small space just cheering for you. It's a pretty good feeling. Another big one would probably be when we opened for Soulfly. Max Cavalera was really, it was like intimidating. I like walked up and I'm like, you know, the angel choir and the lights came down. It was really cool, and seeing him watch us play, and it was awesome. That's a really, not that it's a hard question, it's just hard to pinpoint. Ever since I can remember when I was little, I was a really angry kid. I think a lot of it had to do with my mom and my dad splitting, and there being a lot of conflict between them. The earliest memory I can remember of me lashing out because of that anger was the first time I got in an argument with my mom. Probably not the first I can remember. A lot of me being violent, not understanding, you know, why can't I see my dad, you know, and feeling like nobody was really on my side. And this is when I was probably, I want to say 8 years old, 7 or 8. I was really angry for a long time just because of everything that was going on between my parents. I was hospitalized a lot because I was out of control. And that was, you know, kind of demeaning in its own way. Going to see a psychiatrist, taking this pill, taking that pill, see if this works, you know, Seroquel, lithium, try all that. You know, I didn't have any friends in elementary school. I was getting in a lot of fights at school, to the point where I could be expelled. Middle school didn't really get any better. That's when the anger started to turn into depression. You know, I felt like I was fighting a fight that wasn't worth it. Not that I ever thought my parents were going to get back together, but, you know, just not understanding and being in violent environments all the time with them was, and I was just getting tired, you know. I felt like I couldn't fight anymore. Again, in middle school, no friends. The friends that I did have, never really anything in common, I guess. My brother's always been the really, like, do the right thing military type, so him and I always conflicted. So, you know, at home, I did not get along with my mom. I did not get along with my stepdad. I hated him for a good portion of my life for reasons that had nothing to do with him. So feeling alone at home, feeling alone at school, doing nothing, it like makes you feel so small. So I remember being very suicidal at first, and when I was in 7th grade. A lot of that anger still coming out, but at the end of the day, just sadness. High school, it started to get a little better. It was still like I had, you know, at high school you find your clique and you become popular in your own little way, and you know, still at home issues with my mom. Things got physical with my stepdad a couple times. No matter how much, you know, how many friends I had, how much conversation I had with my friends, I felt like nobody really related on the level that I felt. My first attempt at suicide was my sophomore year. Um, that was my junior year, actually. The girl I thought I was going to be with forever, you know. And self harm was a big thing, whether it was um, taking drugs at school, like Adderall, or drinking at school. Just anything to kind of like feel like I was away for a minute. And after that suicide attempt, you know, nobody really knows about that. Um, my family does. As soon as I tried to do it, I regretted it. And I'm pretty sure everybody feels that way. The instant that you do it, that last second or whatever, you regret it. You say, oh shit, what have I done? But then it's too late to change anything. And, anyways, as time went on, you know, Shadow Guild started. That really helped me a lot. And I still deal with it every day. I still have thoughts of suicide every day. I've gotten to the point where I can ignore them. I can, you know, nothing in me wants to act on it, you know. But with it all starting, just because issues my parents had, it just still sticks with me to this day. All the fights and lonely moments. From when I was little, it just got worse and worse and worse and worse up until about probably a year ago. Is when I like, I don't know if it was an epiphany or what, but that's when it got better. At least me being able to control it. Yeah, so I guess it got a little better, but it's like a lingering, it's like a shadow. That's why my band's called Shadow Guild. It's that thing that lingers with you and will never leave. It'll always be there. You just get better at coping with it, I guess. You come to understand that this is who you are. It doesn't make you a bad person to feel sad. It doesn't make you a bad person to have issues, whether it's anger, sadness. You know, I have a lot of paranoia. Like, I get paranoid people are going to leave me or people don't really like me. Every single day, you know, I'm always creating scenarios in my head that are unsafe or harm me, you know, like people don't even have to be doing anything, but I come up with these things on my own and it sucks. Like, that's the biggest thing I deal with today is not so much sadness, but paranoia. Like, someone's fucking watching me or somebody's fucking keeping tabs on me. Or this person's gonna leave, this person's lying to me, this is all a sham. Back to the whole, it's okay to be that, you know, it is okay. I think when it becomes bad is um, self-destructive behavior. I know how to control myself now. It took a lot of time and a lot of patience, but you know, you just learn to put the cap on it. Don't let it get the best of you. It's a part of you, but it don't have to be a bad thing. And if I were to, you know, it's funny. Like, if I was to not have depression, if I had the option, I think I would choose to have it because I've grown so not comfortable with my sadness. You know, it makes me uncomfortable, but it's a part of who I am. It's what makes me me. You know, everybody has good days. Everybody has bad days. Just because I get sad and I don't feel worth it a lot of the time, it doesn't mean that I can't be just like everybody else. So I was born with it. Something's wrong with my head, and that's just the way it is. The best thing you can do is make a good time out of a bad time. I kept it to myself from my friends. My family knew about it because I was very vocal about how unhappy I was. Whether that was a subconscious cry for attention or, if I just felt like I needed to be heard, I don't really know. But I kept it from my friends for a really long time. They see it come out every now and then. I guess with my friends, with any of my friends, I've never really had a actual sit down conversation about my mental health. It comes out a lot. It's very subtle, but if you know me, you know what it is. People think I'm an asshole because they do one little thing and I get pissed off about it, or I'll go from wanting to talk a lot and hang out with people to just wanting to be alone. Like that. As part of my bipolar, manic bipolar is what they called it, I guess. It's very, and I always tried to maintain that I wasn't here with my friends because, again, I didn't want to be a freak. I didn't want to be the kid who was taking medicine to be like the rest of the kids. A lot. I mean, whether it's people wanting to. Let me trace back for a minute.
Take your time. You're good.
The biggest one of all, I'd have to say, is questioning my worth. Questioning, why does this have to be happening to me? Feeling like I was given an unfair hand in life. A lot of wanting to be alone, and then realizing that being alone sucks, and immediately wanting everybody's attention. And then when I don't get it, I get frantic. Just keeping quiet a lot of not telling people what I really feel. A lot of basically just bottling up. Whether it's me being angry at myself or, my parents or my friends or my girlfriend or the situation I'm in with anything, I just feel like when I get into those really dark times, it feels like almost impossible to talk. It feels cold, dark, like really fucking dark, and a lot of the time I wish I had more courage to actually say what's on my mind. A lot of the time I wish I could just vent, but during those periods, it's something in me is telling me to keep it a secret. Don't tell anybody. So everything that I ever go through, whether it's me losing a friend or losing a job or, during those times I just want to keep to myself. Or not that I really want to, but I feel like I have no other option. I feel like when I was young, I was so manic about it that I never really told my mom. She just figured it out. I felt like she didn't really give a shit. It was a lot of, I guess, she has depression issues too. At the time, I didn't know if it was just her not caring because she was going through her own shit or if she just genuinely didn't care. There's a lot of fighting between my stepdad because of that, and I would do anything to fucking have them listen, whether it's do something stupid or cuss at them or yell at them. You're a kid, you don't really know that you cuss out somebody, they're not going to listen to you. There was some resentment towards me, I feel, from my stepdad. I'm not even his kid. Why would he give a shit? My brother didn't really understand what was going on. My sister didn't either. We were all young. During those times, I always felt really close to my dad. And, he was always really helpful with it. It just felt like from my mom, I had no way to be who I was or ask for help because that wasn't an option. It was fight or flight. And not that you know, all of it's my mom's fault. You know, I was an asshole. I was a little asshole. And I love my mom to death, and because we kind of came to our senses and started to understand each other, and I mellowed out a lot, and she mellowed out a lot once I graduated, because, you know, I don't have to talk to my dad anymore. There's no bickering and fighting, and but lately, you know, it's really cool to be so close to my mom, because I never felt like I was, because of the fighting, especially with my stepdad too. If you had asked me 3-4 years ago if I liked my stepdad, I would have told you I fucking hated him. Same with my mom. It's nice that, you know, they came to peace with it, and I came to peace with it. Now we hang out, you know, and drink wine with my mom. It's pretty cool. It's really cool to see that, you know, we're all together again. How am I doing now? I'm doing pretty good. I've got a good job. I love my band to death. They're like brothers. They make me want to I just want to choke them out sometimes, but I love them all. I love what we're doing. Got some new music coming out, which makes me really fucking excited. You know, every day's a battle, but we always win. And that's the important things. If you're alive at the end of the day, you should be thankful that you wake up every day. Even though sometimes it don't feel like that, it's nice. When I started that band that I told you about with Zach, we had a good friend of ours named, his name was Jordan. You know, we were in that band, and we kind of fell apart when the band did. He was a really good friend of mine, Jordan. He was a good friend to everybody. With him taking his own life our senior year, that really opened up my mind to the impact you can have if you leave. So that was really, because that was my first like big experience with death, especially with somebody so close who I considered a brother. And not knowing was really hard. You know, and nobody would have fucking guessed. He was the happiest, goofiest dude. He was such a good bass player. Miss him every day. Not too long ago, I lost another one of my brothers, Matt. And it doesn't get any easier. It was just a couple months ago, and dealing with something like that, feeling like you could have prevented it, you know, it's guilt I live with every day, especially with Matt being so soon, or not that long ago. It's a battle every day. I don't really talk about it too much because I don't want to annoy people, or but it's weird coping with, and I still tell myself every day that I could have stopped it. I could have been there. I could have done this. I could have done that. Even though I couldn't have. It's not true. Those guys were incredible people, and they meant a lot to a lot of fucking people. They might not have felt like they did, but they really did, and they deserved a lot more out of life. You know, everything recently happening with Matt, my girlfriend Robbie, has been a big help. When it happened, you know, she got off work early, and you know, she's really helped me a whole hell of a lot. My band, definitely my band, has helped cope with it. From about late 2017 to about May of 2018, I was struggling with an opiate problem. Started off with pills. I was in a bad place. I was in a bad relationship, especially with myself. Like, I had no care for my self-esteem or anything like that. It was an easy way. How about that? It was an easy way to feel nothing. And I kicked that habit, thank God. I kind of learned that relying on a substance, whether it's alcohol, drugs, food, anything, man, it can be a bad coping mechanism. And I happened to go like one of the worst ways you could, just to learn that it's not worth it. You can die. And shit's an epidemic right now. In February, I lost my buddy Daniel to an accidental overdose. He took a Percocet that had fentanyl, and that shit is sweeping the nation in a bad way. And it's not getting any better. And I feel like that's something when it comes to depression that people don't really pay too much attention to. They see people doing heroin, or they see people, smoking meth, or that's all self-destructive behavior. Sure, it stems from addiction, but there's got to be a deeper reason. People feel alone, people feel depressed, they're going to resort to something like that. And people are worth a lot more than that. There's other ways to cope. Drugs are a big no-no. Don't seclude yourself. Don't think that nobody wants to hear you. Whether it's a friend or a family member, you can always find solace in somebody. Or if you're really alone, do what I did. Put it all into your music. Then not only will you feel better, but your music has good meaning, and you can use it to help people. Coming to terms with your mental health is very important as well. There are a lot of people, no day gets easier. It's just about how you cope with it. It's about how you learn to live with it, because you have to. The easy way out being addiction, relying on substances, or suicide, it's not the right thing to do. You have a lot more to live for than drugs, and you have a lot more of a life to live. So don't cut it short. Get help, whether it's psychiatrist, friends, psychologist. There's no shame in any of it. Don't be ashamed of who you are. It's okay. It's not your fault. It's just life. But we get better and better each day.